Shame and blame have never been qualities that fosters empowerment or fosters inspiration. Our public school system should not be a place for indoctrination of political views and special interest groups' agendas. This is why I'm committed to the 9 following points. Visit Opa Hope Day for all of my platform commitments. Number 1, removing all curriculum materials that directly or indirectly contain the blame and shame of critical race theories or any theory that puts and pits our children against each other. Our identity should not be color, creed, or sexual identities. Our identity should always be human. Our unifying identity is human. That is what should be promoted at our public school level. And for that matter, all levels. Number 2, addressing head-on teachers that blame any student's academic performance on ancestry, ethnicity, race, or gender. As a mother of 4, 2 who are in post-secondary and 2 who are still in elementary, I had to fight to keep my standards seen to my children as valuable. I had teachers who were making my children believe that my standard of performance was too much. I was pushing too much, babying them, sabotaging what I was doing at home. They were not partnering with what our expectations, knowing what our children are capable of. They were not partnering. They were sabotaging all our efforts and then attacking me for daring to ask teachers to make sense of what you just sent home. Make sense of how are you grading my child as incomplete or insufficient time. You've had my child in your class from beginning. What do you mean? And I've had teachers who then decided to cyberbully me and name call me because I dare to say my child should be evaluated. My child should not be in your class for all this time and you're giving my child an I. And then the principal supporting that. I've had to remind teachers and principals that I am not one of those parents or guardians that do not know my rights and do not know my child's rights. This is one of the reasons of many why I'm running for trustee, because I know the Toronto District School Board systems. I know exactly how to get results, and that is why I have gotten results for all my children. There has not been a TDSB fight that I've lost. And when I've won, I've not won it for me, I've won it for every child. And that is why when my name is called, many are aware that I don't fight just for me. I fight for all that were there before and those to come after. So when I clean house, I clean house. And this is why I am running for trustee, because the house on a riding level has to be cleaned. And when we clean one house, all the other houses are going to be desired to be cleaned as well. So it is either trustees ship up or parents and guardians ship them out. Number 3, honoring the rights of guardians and parents by acknowledging them to be the first educators responsible for providing guidance, instruction, and support to their children under all circumstances. Honoring the rights of guardians and parents by acknowledging them to be the first educators responsible for providing guidance and instruction and support to their children under all circumstances. We are seeing teachers and school boards overstep their boundaries. These are our children that we allow you to have from 8 to 3:30. You are partnering with us to educate our children. And we are seeing too much as if our children are not ours. And it is time that there is a trustee that walks into the Toronto District School Board, sits down and remind all the other trustees. And if the reminder needs to go to the top, to the director, to remind the director that parents and guardians are the first educators responsible for providing guidance, instruction, and support to their children. Boundaries have been crossed, and it's time that someone reminds the board and the politician and the special interest groups that our children are our children. They're not yours to mold into what you want them to become. And for guardians and parents who have just rolled over and threw your hands up and actually believe that you are not equipped, competent enough to educate your child, it is time that you are reminded, to whom much is given, much is required. Your children were given to you. Number 4, establishing clear boundaries and guidelines from consultation with guardians and parents regarding instruction on controversial topics such as sexuality, racism, gender ideology, contraceptives, sexism, child trafficking, child abuse, abortion, and abstinence. Yes, abstinence. That is a topic that seems to have disappeared. And it is the 100% topic that can prevent so many other things. However, it is a topic that has been laughed at and shunned and convinced parents and guardians, why bother? You know it's not going to happen. Well, what you speak on more is what you give life to. And what you call impossible will become impossible. When you have convinced parents and guardians that it's impossible to have a child go through high school or even university and just focus on academics, when we have a culture and environment that says it's impossible for a child to go through school without being sexually bombarded, then yes, you do make it impossible because you've bought into it. And it's a concept that I have had to stand very firm on for my children. And the fight has been real. No thanks to other adults who have said that my conversation of abstinence is archaic, even obsolete. When we're having conversation of sexuality, abstinence should be also part of the conversation and given as much passion in the delivery of the topic and presented in a way, just like how sexuality is presented as you have to, abstinence can also be presented as you have to. If you want to avoid this, and this, that's what you're going to have to do. As soon as you no longer choose to do that, then you are opening yourselves up to all and everything else. So, clear boundaries and guidelines. Where is the math? Where is the English? And where are all the other core subjects where time and intensity and passion should be placed so that our children are equipped in being entrepreneurs, in being business minded, in being financially literate, knowing how to make money work for them and not them working for money. Where is the passion on those topics? Is it because our teachers are not qualified on those topics? I remember hearing in the halls of higher learning, it's very funny where you have business teachers or teachers that are teaching business that have never run a business in their life. They have no idea how to even run a business, yet still they're teaching business. There's many things as a trustee that I would be definitely changing. Am I going to get pushback from unions? For those teachers that who are believing that their job is a right and not see it as a privilege for them to get better at, not wanting to be better in their craft, and saying, I don't need to upgrade, I don't need to stay informed, I don't need to make sure that I walk in the classroom at the best of my ability. All Toronto District School Board teachers should also be tested the same way we do our EQAOs. This should be tested on a first year post-secondary school level on the topics that they're teaching, because guess what? Either preparing our children for post-secondary or you're not. So every teacher should be tested to know if they are at post-secondary school level first year. Keep your skills sharpened, because in the real world, that is what we all have to do. We all have to evolve. We all have to change at the workplace. We all have to upgrade. We all have to do HR training, and we all have to stay ahead of the curve. So why are our teachers outdated? Why are their concepts outdated? Why is it that the union is pushing for teachers to get in and just sit and not? And for many teachers, I know I've crossed your paths. There are amazing ones. And you have those that have no business being there anymore. Actually, you have some that has no business being there in the first place. And I've crossed paths with many of them, and they felt my presence as we crossed paths. I take education very, very seriously. And it could be just from my background, my training, my grooming, my nurturing. I take education very seriously. And I know a good teacher when I walk past them. I know a good teacher from the first. I can tell a good teacher. I know when any of my children are with a great teacher. And the opposite is true. Parents and guardians need to know their rights. I am so happy that I know every year I get the right to go through my children's Ontario student records, the OSR. Make sure that nobody's putting things in there that shouldn't be in there, and everything that is in there is what I am aware of that's in there. Many parents and guardians should know they have a right to challenge things that's on the report card, especially the wordings. Certain wordings are very triggering, and says things about your child. Parents have to become involved. It is not okay to just send your child off and wash your hands off and then blame. When you have a parent and guardian that is very present, and teachers know that, they might try, but they don't succeed. And they know right away if your child is from a home that's present and is aware. And you nip things in the bud. You push back on teachers that has passed their boundaries, and you do not let go the fight. When it has come to your attention, there's a teacher that has crossed the line, you do not let it go. And I am here from my experience in winning every TDSB battle. On a trustee level, I am here to put the trust back in being a trustee for parents and guardians. Number 5, reinstating specialty programs and their admissions process. I am a product of Wexford School for the Arts. Oh my gosh. Without that experience, foundational, having the ability to express yourself and seeing the process from thought to now paper to now on the Judy doll. Well, before that to sketching it, then actually putting the garments together, and then putting it on the doll, then actually making that reel and putting it on a model, and then seeing it walk down the runway. The process of from thought to execution is a skill that every child should be exposed to. And it's not just in the arts, music, science. We have lost being the nation of producing. We are now consuming. There's imagination and thought and ingenuity. Our children are just consuming. And we know children are born with one amazing God-given gift, and that's imagination. And that's being killed. The reinstating of specialty programs and their admission process exposes children to the real world of showing and proving, perseverance and grit, determination, going after something that you know you're passionate about and focusing on the end result. And on my website, opahopeday.ca, on the tab Meet Opa Hope, I've given solutions on how we can address the problem that's being stated and keeping what is. We do not have to have an either or. It's either it's this or we get rid of it. It is what it is. It's amazing the way it is. And there are children that are being stated that don't have the same advantage. And we have to be honest. And I'm unapologetic. Is it really what we talk about, household income? Is it really that? I've had many who called me names because I use my resources, every penny, on my children. And as a result of that, I was called names within my own community. As a result of them believing that excellence apparently isn't us. You want your child to be excellent. Well, you're not black. You are whitewash. You are Uncle Tom. You are Jim Crow. As a result of wanting excellence for my children. So our problem isn't financial. Our problem isn't equitableness. Our problem is an internal cultural problem that we have to face and look in the mirror and stop blaming and pointing finger outside when 3 is pointing right back at you. So our issue isn't an equitable financial home issue. It's the issue of our values and what we see as the identity of being the color black. What is that identity? And for those that don't fit that identity, we are ostracized, we're shunned, we're sabotaged within our own communities. So let's call the spade for what it is. Let's call Jack, and let's call foul on an act that is a foul. It is a foul to cancel the specialty program and blame it on financial reasons, on making it equitable. Because there are many parents who have the ability to give their children more, and they choose to eat it for themselves. They choose to live life for themselves. Many parents will choose to want to spite another, especially if it's a home and a family issue, to spite and not assist the children. And they would want to eat the money for themselves and live the money for themselves, forgetting that children did not ask to be here. Many have children just for their own purpose of feeling like they're a man or feeling that they're a woman, and they are not doing the requirement of what it is to be a father or a mother. It's just to say that they are. And that's the honest truth that many want to run away from. So their children are the ones suffering because their children are not given the ability to be their best version because there's a mother or a father who is selfish. And that's the reality. That's the reality. Many do not want to get out of their comfort. They might not want to get on the TTC bus. You would give them a voucher. You would give them grants. You would give them the ability to go to a private school, a boarding school. You would give them an ability to have a tutor. You would give them all that, but it requires the parents to travel or to get on a bus and they'd be like, nah, me can't do that. I don't want to do that. My show is on. Wednesday night? No, I can't do that on Wednesday night because my show is on. I can't miss. Money is being designated to implement a social engineering problem. So reducing funds and spending in one area that is essential, but for some reason money and funds is being miraculously created for all of these special interest groups and racism this and racism no. But we don't have money for the new boiler system. We don't have money to make sure that all TDSB schools are accessible to all students with any disability. We don't have funding to make sure that the roofs on our TDSB schools are functioning properly. We don't have, but we could find resources to fine teachers $200 if we deem them racist, have equity officers to have teachers do all these trainings. We can find money for all that, but we can't find money to support the special education department that is so understaffed. And that goes to my 7th point. I'm going to be fighting passionately for French immersion, special education, early learning programs that are desperately in need for more resources and support. That for some reason TDSB every time they can't find it in the budget, but money just pops up for social engineering, political pushed programs. We find money for those. Number 8, addressing the issues of our children's physical learning environment as it pertains to the maintenance of our schools. As I said, leaky roofs, boiler issues, making our schools accessible. Those are issues that affects our children's learning. How you feel as a child walking into a building where you can't even access without the arrows being pointed at you that you're different. How is that making a child feel welcome and feeling a part of the school when they can't even access the school? We're not able to make sure that schools are accessible. Whoever needs an elevator, put an elevator in. Listen, you guys are making this seem like it's something so difficult. Yet, all hands on deck and everybody's on the same accord when we want to put in these social engineering, racism, gender issues, curriculum. We come together on that. Don't all TDSB and everybody on the provincial level, we pass a bill, funding, everything is just poops, just magically appears for those things. But making sure that every child can access a school. I thought we want to make sure the school is welcoming for everyone. Really. The roof is leaking. The smell. Wintertime, the place is cold because you have boreal issues. But you're thinking, you're thinking that we're gonna put all of these new money. Apparently, we have new money and new resources for these social special interests, racism topics. But the roof is leaking. The classrooms are cold. Children cannot access the schools to who have disabilities. Fundamental issues that directly impacts the environment of all students, the morale of going into a school that's just jacked up. And right across the street, not even 10, 15 minutes down, another school that's just like, really? That's so amazing. How you think those children feel in that community where this is their school and that is somebody else's school? All Toronto district school boards should be equal. We're all in this together, are we? We're only all in this together when we want to push agendas, when we want to impose and cross our boundaries. Yet still, we're not all in this together to make sure that every TDSB school, it's like a McDonald's. You know when you go into McDonald's, the fries are always on one side, and the burger is the same no matter which franchise you go. The fries are the same. Everything is the same. Burger King, every one of them. A&W, all of them. Guess what? Every Toronto District School Board, when you walk in, should have the same level of excellence in the building structure, the modernization, the air quality, the school resources, the teacher support, the parking lots, the playground. Every Toronto District School Board, as soon as you pass a Toronto District School Board, and every school in our school board should be top notch. Parents should not feel like they have to move and skip over boundaries to get a better school. It's called a TDSB. It's not called Coxwell TDSB. It's not called Bayview TDSB. It's not called Bathurst TDSB. It's not just called Scarborough in the back TDSB. It's called TDSB, the Toronto District School Board. We have to bring a culture of family. We have to bring a culture of pride. Every trustee is proud of the school board, not just their ward. Every child should feel proud when asked, what school do you go to? Oh, I go to a Toronto District School Board school. Toronto District School Board should have an energy, an environment of we are one. When you go on my site, opahopeday.ca, there is a page titled Meet Opa Hope. And I talked about teachers doing an exchange program for the year. But for those that don't want to go international, so you get a broader sense of how others are being educated at a busing or a butts on academic standards, seeing what are they doing over there that we're doing different. We don't even have to go that far. Just within the school board itself, the rankings, you just go with the top schools in the Toronto District School Board. The schools that are ranking high, just do a teacher exchange. Because I would like to know, how is that TDSB school ranking so high? And this TDSB school, you know what they lie and say? And I'd say it's a lie and say. They would lie and say, oh, it's because of the parents and the financial system and the education level of that area. And no, lie. Let me tell you why. Parents move. Guardians who are from Scarborough, born and raised and went to school and bust their butt to get a higher level, then they get up and they leave. So technically, if you really do the reverse engineering of all of this, the education level and the income bracket of parents and guardians, if you do reverse engineer as to where they actually came from, you have a better story. You have a different story. So when they say it's as a result of the education system, or the education level of the parents, no, I'm sorry. My child's in your school from 8 to 3:30. Don't blame this on the education level of the parents. Don't blame it on English being the second, third, or fourth language of the parent. Don't blame this on the financial brackets, the statistical bracket of the financial of the finances or the household income of that area. Don't blame it on that. What does that have to do? The child is in your care, Toronto District School Board, from 8:30 till 3:30. And technically they leave home, some of them, 7:30, 7 o'clock. Depending if they're French immersion, they're out of the house, they're getting up at 6:30. So don't blame the outcome of children that you have in your care on statistics of the family's level of income, the family's level of education. You've had them from 8 to 3:30. SK, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, grade 5, grade 6, grade 7, grade 8, grade 9. 10 years. You've had these children from 8 to 3:30. 5 days out of a 7-day week. The devil is a liar. It has nothing to do with the education level of the parent when the child gets home, the financial level of the parents when they get home, because they're in our care. And this is why I take this personally. I take everything personally. When you see I put my name to something, it's personal. Scarborough Center parents vote me in. This is not it's a job description. I take this thing passionately. Everybody that knows me, when I put my name and when that is my portfolio, it's personal. It's personal. Children that are in my ward and they're in my care from 8 to 3:30, nobody is going to be able to be blaming parents. The child is with you from 8:30 to 3:30. And I say my children who are in post-secondary isn't there because of public school system. I had to pull them out and homeschool them for many years. And that's where now the director, but back then was Superintendent Colleen Russell. And at that time, now it's MP Sean Chen, but back then it was Trustee Sean Chen. I've crossed paths with many. Some who were principals, now they're superintendents. Some who was vice principals, now they're principals. Some who were teachers, now I've crossed paths with many, and they know when my name and when I step into a room on behalf of someone or a role, I take it personal. There's a level of performance that comes with whatever I do. If my children could make it, everybody's child could make it. And trust me, I have fought. And as I said, I haven't won a battle. Because you see, when I fight, I just don't fight, to say I'm fighting. I fight right. I know my fight is right. Because I give people opportunities to do course corrections. And when I see that there's arrogance and pride, then I'm like, okay, we have a problem. You have no business being in the presence of children when you're prideful in your wrongness. So you're too comfortable in your wrongness. So we have a problem, not for my child, because I'm going to fix it for my child. That's not even a question. Trust me, my child is going to get the justice, and my family is going to get the justice. Their report card is going to get the justice, and the level of education and the way you deliver it to my child is going to get justice. However, it's a bigger issue for me because I remember myself having to be my own advocate. And I'm wondering how many other adults allow this person to still be here as a teacher. So I take it personal. I step into the skin and into the footsteps of that child, everybody's child that's sitting in the classroom with that teacher. And I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. Because you know what you're doing? Many of you who think you're here just for tenure, you know what you're doing? You're participating in society having the next narcissist, in society having the next abuser, in society having the best person that feels they're entitled, in society having the next person who's good at manipulating, in society has another person that feels like they just have to smile and the whole world just falls at their table. You are also perpetuating the next child believing that life is always going to be hard as the way you show up. You are perpetuating a child believing that no matter what they do, it's never good enough because you don't see them for who they are. You see them for who you and your bias have decided that they are. You're perpetuating and you're encouraging the next. Every teacher in my ward is going to have personal development like they've never experienced it before. When you step into a classroom in Scarborough Center as a teacher, know that it is not a role that you are walking into as if it's like, okay, I don't care what happens because I'm passing on that child to another teacher. You are making sure that you are passing on another amazing human being to another teacher. Those children, and you're going to get the support that you need because there are amazing teachers out there past them. And there's some, as I say, have no business being there. And you and I, those who fall into that category, we're going to have some issues. And it's not new that I'm not used to. As I said, I've fought many battles, many within the Toronto District School Board for my children. Many. French immersion battles, public school, just regular battles. I fought many, and I have not lost one. And one in particular is when I made sure that an entire school had to be re-educated. It's not a crowning achievement where a principal had to take early retirement. That's their way of giving her a nice option. It's not a crowning achievement that office administration had to be relocated. Even after my children left. Because I told them, this is not about me. It's about every child that's going to be there after. Because when I fight for all. Because I know the impact of a teacher. I know the impact of a teacher, and many teachers lost that. They might have went into teachers college with that, but somewhere along the line, they've lost it. Yes, many want to blame parents. If every teacher see every parent as someone that loves their child and they are wanting the best instead of seeing them as annoying, this is the, and you have all these negative reasons why a parent is asking questions or wanting some kind of assistance or wanting you to make sense of something or advocating for the child, you come after them. Those are the teachers that's going to have a problem with me. The teachers that see every child as a human being, for them, the teacher, to show up their best version for, to raise the bar at the expectation that the household has for their child. Let me rephrase that. When teachers raise the bar and support the bar that the child is coming from in their household, if there's a household that is set at a high standard, You should not be sabotaging that. And if you see the child is coming from an environment that has no bar, you set the bar for that child. You see that child as great. You see that child as being the next amazing miracle for this world. This is why we need support for special education. That is why the early learning programs are so crucial. For those children that we've identified that need extra attention so that they can be the best version of themselves. Let me tell you, we can make the Toronto District School Board a school board that school boards around the world and even Ontario look at and say, wow. Wow. I remember when the TDSB was XYZ. I remember when. It will only come, and it could only come and only be when the adults start putting the best interests of all children first. And you, union, get out of the way of protecting those that have no business being in the position of teaching. You, union, step out of the way of protecting those that are actually fostering toxic human beings into our world. The teachers union, you pay your union dues and you have your ability to vote this and vote that. It's time that the teachers really become the champions for children. And in the meantime, while you guys figure yourselves out, I'm going to be the champion for the parents and guardians of Scarborough Center. And last but not least, my 9th point, increasing resources and collaboration to provide result-based mental and emotional health support for all TDSB's children. So increasing the resources and collaboration to provide result-based mental and emotional health support for all TDSB children. I am so dedicated to improving and enhancing our children's academic environment. And once the environment is excellent, safe, truly welcoming, truly engaging, and children walk into buildings and they see adults every morning ready to be their best version, you would see how those children outperform. You would see how those children outperform. And I'm going to end with this. Parents, guardians, I know your heart. I know every one of you, regardless of your financial income, you desire the best for your child. Your heart smiles when you see your child doing well. You are bragging and you're just like, it gives you such pride when you see your child performing at their best level. And when you can have a supporting team in schools that is not there to baby your children, it's there to make them know that they can truly be their best. And that would include failing. And they learn how to get back up. They learn when you mark a test, teachers, just don't X and they said it wrong. Explain, let the child know where they went wrong. And if a child comes to you and challenges you, Miss, Sir, why did I get that wrong? Or explain this to me, or somebody else had it right. And don't take offense that they're challenging you. Get off your high horse This child is learning to advocate for themselves and wanting something to make sense. They want to know where they went wrong. And if you see you made an error, where is your humility in being the change? You want children to grow up to be children, to own and be responsible, yet still they see you every day running away from just saying you're wrong. Being afraid to admit that you're wrong. Somehow being challenged with your ego with a grade 8, a grade 7. How fragile is your sense of worth when you feel challenged? This is what I'm saying. Mentorship and professional development is required for our teachers. Too many teachers I have come across, their ego is very fragile. And they take a pushback or a disagreement with a mark or a questioning of a mark or challenging of something as an attack on them. No, it's a parent advocating for their child. Get off your high horse and make it make sense. Don't make it make sense in this arrogant way. See where the parent or guardian is coming from, and in your humility and in your humble way, because you're wanting to make sure, again, if you are a teacher that wanting to make sure that your child is performing their best and there is a possibility that you misunderstood the question or what you thought was wrong when you heard the explanation, like, oh, okay. But so many of you want to just have this red pen ink, just red ink mentality. Final. We are going to buck heads if you're that type of educator, because our children do not deserve that. Our children deserve educators that are nurturing. If you see every child as yours, if you're driving into a community, as we call it, parachuting in, but if you're driving into a community and you see every child as yours, regardless of the community, and you see every child as not responsible for where they are. No child, including you when you were a child, chose your parents or chose where your parents were living when they conceived you. And you would hope that when you walk into a classroom, because that is where your area code says that you have to be at, that the adult that is standing at that door welcoming you is not judging you based on your postal code. That adult sees you and sees that you can be great. Teaching is a very, demanding job. And it is one of the most honorable careers, paths that anyone should step into, only if your desire is to bring out the best out of every child that crosses your path. And you advocate for them even when they can't advocate for themselves. Meaning, when they're seeing themselves low, when they see that it's impossible, when they think they can't do it, when they think they're too dumb or they're not smart enough, you advocate for them. And let them remember that you were one of the teachers that made them believe in themselves or made them accomplish something that they thought they couldn't get. So, have I crossed paths with many amazing educators in my life? Yes. So much. And that is why I know it's possible. Because they're not an anomaly. I know it's possible for every teacher to be amazing. It's possible. And for those that are just stuck in wanting to be a different version of a teacher, then you and I are going to have a very colorful 4 years together. So I'm signing off. Opa Hope Day. I am the change that you are wanting to see. Have a good night.